What's up, guys? It's my very first vlog. I'm super excited. I'm recording on my phone and I'm working to eventually improve everything. Episode 1, the return to Mayhem Athletics apparel, is to really open up to you guys in our process, in my process of relaunching, rebuilding, or building a brand. In an industry where everything is so skewed, it is so much information being thrown at us as content consumers. Everything's just so saturated, and that's okay. That's totally cool. I want to do is bring as many of you as possible on this journey. To kind of backtrack for just a second, Mayhem Athletics apparel was founded in 2016, I believe, and we lasted all the way up until COVID. Doing so well in the first few years. We were able to get into a couple of gyms. We were just doing great on the e-commerce side. And then just like everyone being affected by COVID, it really hit us hard. Things really just kind of fell apart. And so kind of dissolved everything very quickly because a lot of tough calls and a lot of tough decisions had to be made during that time, just like with everyone else who was running a business or just even work. You know, that was such a weird era in the world. Moving forward, we went 6 years in complete silence. In that time, I was doing a number of things. And in recent events, both personally and professionally, have triggered me to want to launch my brand back. What I wanted to do this time around was take a slightly different approach, really kind of bring you guys into the fold of my processes. Over the last probably week, maybe even longer, before even things started kind of happening and going sideways in my life, I was already thinking about what I wanted to do that was different than I was doing before. With that in mind, I want to bring you guys into the process. Hopefully it helps you guys, hopefully it inspires you. Doesn't matter if you're trying to start a clothing brand or something else. If you're just trying to start something, hopefully this will manifest it for you or help you kind of bounce ideas back or suggestions that you guys have for me, whatever it might be. This is an open forum for you guys to really kind of go back and forth with either me or each other in the comment section, talk about plans, ideas, things that you want to kind of, do for your future, whatever that might be. But I want to have you guys be fully in the know of what I'm doing step by step. And I'm going to try and record as much as I humanly can. I'm very new to the vlogging side of things. I've been doing short form content on TikTok with my car and things like that. And the reason why I'm in my car is because for me, it's just the best space that I can be in to talk with you guys and have you kind of all to myself. It'll be a little tougher for me out of my comfort zone recording in public. I'm not used to that. I want to get used to that. Hearing a lot lately, it's cringe until it works, but it'll take some time for me to adjust. And I apologize for my face. Because of the anxiety I've been having with the obsessive mindset I've had of the plans in the future, I have been picking my face. So I do apologize for that, for the way I look. So where I'm at in this process right now is I've already started reaching out to one of our former printers that we had back when we first started. We actually started with a single batch with them back in the day. And I reached back out to them. I said, hey, we're looking to relaunch the brand. They were super excited, just like I'm super excited. So they sent me a quote, and it's a little bit more than I wanted. It was 48 shirts, a main print, and a flag sleeve. And it was going to come out to about $810 for 48 garments. And so that came out to $16.20. And I was like, I don't know, that's kind of on the expensive side. You guys to learn from this, hopefully this helps you guys, is there's never one pathway to getting something done. There's multiple avenues, there's multiple ways. You have to really just kind of sit down, let your emotions come down from any decision making, and think logically when you're planning something, especially if something as complex as logistics, especially for apparel or most businesses, right? For me, what I'm thinking to do is, we did this before, was we would do print to order. So what we were doing before everything happened was we had a heat press. We ordered an Amazon heat press for I think it was $120 if I recall correctly. We got some garments, we got some vinyl, and we got a vinyl cutting machine. This really tiny one from Silhouette Studio or something. I think the investment was I don't know, $300, $400 at the time. We were able to kind of have full control, full creative control over what we wanted to do, what we wanted to pump out, what we wanted to get done. So that I really enjoyed. I'm in many ways a control freak. I'll admit that, but I really wanted to kind of consider that as another option. I know that you hear all these things about drop shipping. I know that's a thing too, or what is it, direct print to drop shipping. You can tell I haven't done a lot of research on that. Concerns about, let's backtrack to option A, going to outsourcing to a printer. That is a great option if you have the funds, if you have the means, if you're willing to risk the capital. That's the upside, is like you have very little friction operationally. The downside is you will have inventory, right? Which is a good thing. But the downside of that is if your inventory doesn't move, then you're stuck with it, you know? Holding, in my opinion, just the way my mind works, is if you're holding onto inventory for longer than like a certain period of time, at that point you're losing money. The other downside too is obviously the upfront cost is going to be a lot more, and you have a lot less control over the end quality. So when the shirts are printed and they're folded, and it's not to say that all printers are bad or untrustworthy, it's just you will be kind of stuck with the batch that they give you. And if you don't like the quality of the ink they use or the things they do, that's something that you have to keep in mind as well. Option 2 or option B is going to be something along the lines of like doing it yourself, but then there's a learning curve that comes with that. So like us, I remember we were learning the software for it. We were learning how, you know, the vinyl cutters cut, all these things that are happening. All right, sorry about that, guys. One of my friends stopped by for something. I apologize. So as I was saying, so option A, we talked about that. Option B is having your own product, being able to design, print, and assemble yourself. That was the route that we chose back in the day, and that's probably going to be the route that we're going to go this time around. And the reason why is because the initial investment, you have full control over all of that, right? So you need to buy a heat press, a vinyl cutter, some garments, and then of course the vinyl. So that can be anywhere between, you know, $200 to $500 on the upfront cost, but then of course comes the learning curve. So learning how your software works, learning how your cutter works, that can be a learning process. Learning graphics, graphic designing sometimes, because it can get very intricate with the software. And if it's not done right, then obviously it'll keep coming out wrong, and then you'll get frustrated. So keep that in mind when you're doing something like that, because we learned that the hard way, guys, the really hard way. But once we got it down, once we learned it, once we acclimated to it, then it's like, okay, now it's much easier to kind of, you know, pump out ideas and designs and things that we thought would be better with our brand. So that's option B. Option C is going to be the dropship. I've never done dropship before. I've seen tons of videos, tons of content on it. For me, just coming from me personally, my concerns of that is that you have no control over, again, you have no control. You don't know what the customer is getting. If it's a bad quality product at the end, like if it was poorly put together or assembled or designed, you don't know. And that obviously you automatically lose somebody like off the rip. So that has always been my biggest fear, is the quality of what they're getting. The shipping, you have no control over the shipping process, outside of the fact that, you know, you get the shipping number that the customer is getting, and that's about it. That's kind of like your only interaction with the customer. That's not a, you know, I'm not saying it's a negative, but these are all things for drop shipping or drop ship printing that you have to really think about. Like, you have to really keep this in mind, guys. Another thing is too, if there's customer service issues, right? Like you didn't print the t-shirt, you didn't package the t-shirt. There's a concern with the product, or like whatever it is they're getting that was drop shipped. They go to you, you go to the person or the company that designed it, assembled everything for you, and then you just have this huge issue of like what I call banana phone, and that can get really hairy really quickly. And so then at some point, you know, you may have to be forced to take a step back and say, okay, now we have to kind of go back to the drawing board and figure out what works for us. And I'm not saying that's for everybody. I'm just saying those are all things that I have fears of. And again, I would prefer to have creative control over my process. So what I'm leaning towards for my ideas in the next steps of relaunching Mayhem is obviously going to be the logistics. So I'm in the process right now of getting a heat press. I'm in the process of ordering garments, and I'm in the process of getting what's called plastisol heat transfers. So it's similar to kind of like the idea, the concept of vinyl printing, if you will. But what they do is they take the plastisol ink, they screen press it to a transfer paper, and then that plastisol design is now on that paper. Once you get that shipment to you, you can cut out the design and place it on the t-shirt and print it down on the heat press. And of course, as we're going through this, I will bring you guys along for the ride. So make sure you guys are subscribing. Make sure you guys have notifications turned on so you guys can be part of this entire process. See what the products are like, see what it comes out to be like. And I'm not saying it's gonna work. I'm just saying this is, for me, the lowest form of resistance in terms of printing, assembling, all these things, because I really want to focus more on the marketing when it comes to launching the brand, right? Getting people either familiarized or refamiliarized with Mayhem Athletics apparel. So those are all things that are, you're balancing a lot of things. You have to kind of game plan, and you have to be kind of always thinking about what's the next step for you, what you're doing, what you're aiming to do, how soon you want to do it. These are all things that you have to like really, really think about, guys. So join me on the journey, guys. I'm gonna try and make these videos long form. I'm not used to long form content. This is, again, my very first actual like vlog style, and I'm gonna try and make it more cinematic, more creative for you guys. But I also want it to be raw. I don't want it to be like, oh, angles this and lighting that. I just want it to be real. I want to get straight to business for you guys, so that way you can spend 15-20 minutes kind of watching what I'm doing or what I'm saying and learning. And again, your comments, your feedback, everything that you think we should do, or things that you've tried, or things that you want us to try, I'm happy to do that, guys. So welcome to the channel. I appreciate you guys, and we're excited to be coming back, but it's going to be a process, and I want you guys along for that journey. And again, I'm looking forward to engaging with as many of you guys as possible as we start to kind of grow this thing together. So I'll see you guys soon. Bye.